Hey everybody, Binja the Body Whisperer here, just out for my daily walk. So I thought you could walk with me, follow my feet. So what I wanted to talk about today is injuries and what that means as we get older, and how possibly to look at them. And this is coming from my own experience, having been a physical performer and been injured on the job, and actually had to at one point be on injury leave, and then I was on workers' comp and unemployment for a while because I couldn't do the show that I had been hired to do because of an accident in that show. What happened was I fell in a suit that weighed about 105 pounds roughly, rumors 110 to anywhere, but so it was a lot, and I ended up staying in the show, like I think a lot of people do. You try to get to that point where you think like, okay, if I just push and work, I'm gonna get through this. So I ended up staying in the show for about 8 months, but I got to a point where, and this is where the delusion comes in, I got to a point where I thought no pain equaled I'm in a good place. But I went through so much pain that I pushed through to my body compensated. Muscles grew, muscles atrophied in areas, and I got to almost to a place where there was no pain, which was kind of scary because it was just masking the pain by overcompensating in some areas and then undercompensating in others. So finally something happened where I ended up having to leave the tour. I went into rehabilitation for about 6 months, and I was dedicated 3 times a week. I wanted to get back on the show. Like, I was motivated to get back onto the show. I loved the job, and I missed it. Didn't get back on the job, and then it took about another, what I consider 3.5 years until I think the pain in that joint went away. But then I had the fallout. So the fallout is the other joints that took the load for a long time and then either became too strong or too weak. And so I'm still experiencing those things. Finally, when muscles over the last 1.5 years or so, I've been doing a lot of like hip opening stuff. A lot of stuff is finally opened up, and now the pain is coming back because I've opened it up, and it's starting to be used again, and it's weak, right? So I guess ultimately, there's a scenario I see play out. We get into life, we stop moving as much as we normally do, maybe get desk jobs, whatever, or an injury happens, and then we stop moving, and we have a lot of obligations in life, right? So during that period of time, at 6 months when I went to physical therapy, my job was to get better. So I had kind of the luxury to just focus on that. That's what I needed to focus on. It's my livelihood. Now let's say it's not your livelihood, right? You have to make money, you have to go to work, you have to keep moving, you have to take care of family, you have to do all these things, and it kind of can get, not kind of, but it can get pushed to back burner, and then in the long run, then you get to a point where you had an injury, maybe the pain is gone because your body is compensated, and then you realize, man, you put on weight, and then you decide, okay, I got to get back into it. So you get back into it, maybe doing something, and then during that first week or two, you overdo it because the joints have not been ready, the mobility is gone, and as soon as you wake that stuff up, those old pains and injuries are gonna flare up again, and they're gonna come back. So it becomes a vicious cycle. And this is one of the reasons why when I talk about the slow and steady, making little changes. First, start with diet. Don't worry about diet and exercise. Start with the diet. Start with one thing. Get that in. Don't try and do all of it at once. Like maybe stop eating you stop eating sugar, right? And that's just week 1. Then week 2 is, so you've continued to stop eating sugar. Maybe you have 1 treat day a week or something, depending on where you're at and what your goals are, and your personality. So you do that, then the next week you start every other day doing some just stretches, simple things. Maybe you could add sugar and stretches in the same week. Find out what works for you, but just do little things every day. Go for a walk, 30-minute walk. Now, if you're wondering, it's like, man, I don't know where to start. Where do I start? This is a great, I've put together a great 8-week, what I called a reboot, but it's and that's what it is. It's if you just follow along and do what you can and listen every day or watch every day to a 5 to, I think at the most, it might be a 17, 20 minute, almost like a podcast. If you listen to that on the way to work, just listen to these things, try and do as much of it as you can. And that it talks about it. Go to do Binja's 8-week reboot, and it'll shift the philosophy and how you look at diet, exercise in your future, like moving forward, and how it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You're going to get to goals, and then what happens at the end? That's the big question. You'll get to things and then you'll fall off of it. So if you keep a kind of a mindset, what it ends up turning into is just a lifestyle that is sustainable, right? So I think I'm going to end there. Check out weequalenergy.com. Go to, that you're ready to start. Go and check into and if you have any questions, feel free, post them on go to We Equal Energy, on search We Equal Energy on Facebook. Actually, no, you will be on YouTube. I'm going to put this on YouTube. Subscribe, watch for a while. I have hours and hours of content I'm going to be uploading. I have already done, and I think it's very beneficial content for changing maybe the way you think about how you think about working out again and diet and what it means to have fitness and all the different aspects of it. And I'm taking this from an accumulation of stuff that I've looked at over the last 30 some years, having been starting working out when I was like 14, I'd say, like lifting weights and really being into it, reading Flex magazine when I was a kid, and then just being interested in overall movement and physical work, and then diet as well. I'm fascinated by it. So keep moving, people. Binja the Body Whisperer out. And I'm home.